Hello, 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 my love. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am great. I'm super excited to have you on the podcast.
I'm excited to be here, but I feel like this is just going to be like girlfriends talking to girlfriends. So I'm excited.
Of course, listen, if even for the new ones to the podcast or to the world of Jateya Jones, that's just what we do. Uh, it's just friendly and casual, and but it's all in excellence and truth. So that's what it's gonna be. That's what they're gonna
Yeah.
get today, anyway, right?
Look, that's
So
all we can give. It's
exactly.
truth.
Listen, nothing but the hard truth, which they talk about us Capricorns and say that we're mean and this, that, and the third. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna give you the truth, okay? Because we love you and it's all out of love.
Let's go.
So they've heard all about you, your bio. I've given them my shout out to Whine and Cheese just because I am an avid member. I love it. I love the mission. I love the founder. And so they've heard my spiel about it. But I want them to hear from you. Tell them who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So, hi, everybody who is watching and listening. My name is Natalie Dean. I am the founder and executive director of Whine and Cheese Incorporated, WHINE. And we create safe spaces for Black women to build and bond within community. We've been doing that for the last 10 years. My Whine and Cheese is my 5 to 9. My 9 to 5 is actually in the field of communications. So it's been kind of nice to see the marriage between my professional skills and my personal purpose and calling come together in a way that really benefits, uplifts, supports, and encourages Black women. So in the last 10 years, Whine and Cheese has launched more than 30 branches across the country where women prior to COVID would gather in living rooms across the country and whine about their stress and cheese or smile about their blessings. And it's always been important to me. My entire life really led me to birth this organization because I just have a heart for women. I have a heart for authentic interaction and communication, and for building community with one another so that we can help each other, like you do, help each other win, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's also why I resonated with it so much. Like when I first heard you speak about it, I was like, this is absolutely amazeballs. And why haven't I heard about it before? So I am more than thrilled to bring the news of Wine and Cheese to my listeners, my followers. Um, and hey, join if you would like, because you can always DM me. I will rant and rave about it all day long. In truth, so that you can
Thank
get the ins and outs and come and play with us. Because just like today's conversation is girlfriend time, that's pretty much what it is. But it's a safe space to do that because we
you.
don't always
Absolutely.
have that, especially in our area code and or zip code. So
Absolutely.
um,
I started like the story of Whine and Cheese being established. This actually was not ever meant to be a nonprofit organization with at one point more than 200 members at a time across the country. No, this was actually birthed from a personal need where I said, look, I'm in a new city. I'm stressed. I'm out here in the world trying to look like I got it all together, but I don't. And I need a tribe that I can really like confide in and, get advice or get affirmation from. So that's how we started. And who knew that 10 years later, we would have grown into like a full legit organization. But to your point, like what Whine and Cheese represents is a goal that all women, all people should have, which is community.
totally agree. And I love that you shared that it wasn't initially meant to be a legit business, but I know that's how purpose blossoms.
Oh yeah.
I truly believe we're cherry picked and plucked and put on earth to do a specific thing. unbeknownst to us, right? We just come here living our best lives. But it's the clarity's in the doing, and the more you do, the more it formulates into a thing, like a real thing.
You
Um,
actually said, the clarity is in the doing. We actually had a personal conversation where you mentioned that. And I'm sure you said it before and it just fell on deaf ears. But when you said it most recently, it really resonated for me in a way that it never had before. Um, and I want people to realize, like, when you start a business that is birthed from purpose, um, it's always going to serve other people. Sometimes we get bogged down in, oh, because I love this thing, I have to turn it into a business, I have to monetize it.
right.
No, it can just be a hobby, it can just be a thing. But when you see that other people are really being blessed by what you've created, then that's when you really need to tap into, okay, how do I manifest this into something bigger and better that will serve other people?
That is a great identifier, because people are always asking me, well, how do I, especially my multi passionate people, like, how do I know when it's the thing, it's a thing? And
Mhm.
I always explain it in ROI. Like, I love to do a million and five things, but how much energy does it take? How much time and money does it take compared, right? But that is a great identifier, because you're right. Like, I tell people all the time, I went to nail tech school because I love everything nails. And after I finished getting my certification, I was like, I don't want to do this no more. like, like, I'm tired. I don't know. I don't have a love for nails at all anymore. So that is a great way to put it. Absolutely, absolutely love that. But yeah, the more you do, the clearer you get. It's an ongoing thing, and clarity is the destination. It's not the journey. Focus is your journey. So
Yeah.
I love that you said that. So yes, yes, yes. This just gives me all the feels. Um, but I also wanted to point out that you were talking about your connection between the 9 to 5 and the 5 to 9,
Mhm.
and how, um, like you said, that was the driving force, kind of sort of behind why you started the whole concept at the time of Wine and Cheese, was because you were in this 9 to 5 and you were in need. And then
Yeah.
you saw that it went from there. And so a lot of times people have problems connecting the dots
Mm,
when it's like right there in front of them. So for most people, they would have been like, yeah, let me go seek for me. And like you said, it's, well, if I need it, somebody else may need it too.
right. And actually, I didn't come to that awareness on my own. So a couple of things. Mind you, this was 10 years ago. So everybody, this was before Jateya came into my life, because now I can just go to her and I'll just blurt out everything and she can connect the dots for me. But 10 years ago, I didn't know her. And so what I did one day, I mean, I was in a very stressful, high performing job. I worked in a PR agency, and it is very demanding. And I was young, and my idea of what the position would be and what I would be required to do, and then what it actually was, were not the same things. And so I started experiencing burnout. This was probably in approaching year 3 at the company. And I got so frustrated and I said, okay, something's got to give. And I made a list of all of my skills, all the things I was good at doing, and then all of the things I enjoyed doing. And I said, okay, are there any synergies here? Are any of these things on either list aligned? And how can I like make that a thing? So I'm really good at communication. I'm really good at helping people formulate ideas, formulate how their messaging, um, and kind of creating what that looks like for them, right? So that was what I did in PR. I loved entertaining. I loved having people at my home. So you're a Capricorn, I'm a Cancer. So we're really big about home, about family and friends. And so I really started to drill down on okay, how can I have my girlfriends over all the time? You know, that's when I feel like I'm really tapped in. I feel like the best of me comes out when I'm in community. Are there ways that I can marry these two things? I tried everything. You know, you did nail tech, I sold jewelry, right? And where I was hosting jewelry parties. And then I had to do the marketing and everything that came along with the jewelry parties. And I just say, you know what, this is a bit much, you know, and I had to decide, okay, I'm going to step back from this. It was fun while it was fun, and it's not fun anymore. But slowly but surely, in the midst of trying to just decide my life instead of having other people decide it for me, which is a whole nother story. Um, I said, in the midst of all that, let me just get together some women and talk it out, because I can't I'm talked myself to death, right? Um, and so we started our first wine and cheese gathering just as a girls' night in. And after realizing how powerful it was that first night, we said, okay, we want to do this more regularly. And then I was telling a girlfriend about it in New York, and she's like, I want to do it too. And I'm like, no, it's mine. Very territorial, okay? Especially over a good idea. And then I had a come to Jesus moment, and God was like, how dare you keep this from other women? You see how you and the women in your circle have benefited from this. Why would you sit on this and not share it? And that's how it came to be. So I have to actually give a shout out to my good girlfriend, Kelly, for kind of pushing me by asking that question. Can I start one too? Or otherwise, who knows where we'd have been? It might have just been me and my 11 other girlfriends. So,
That's good. And I really think all of that speaks to, well, let me rewind before I even say that. So I think you know, I don't know if you know. So my rising sign is Cancer, which is why
yes.
I have all of these cancers in my life. So when you were also talking about territory, I was like, girl, I know. But I'm overly protective of family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, you know, it really drives home like the whole title of today's podcast is about community and how we try to do it by ourselves so often.
Yeah.
And like you said, you could talk yourself to death. You could talk
Mm-hmm.
yourself in circles, off a
Yep.
bridge, on a bridge, back off again. And it's not until you have an outward perspective that sometimes it just clicks, kind of like how you said you've heard me say clarity in the doing before, but it didn't click until the other day. And so, you know, I love everything about that, because for me, being now an ambivert and used to be an introvert, I knew the importance of community, like you say, love home and love family and love friends, but I was also hesitant to ask for help. I was
Yeah.
too shy to even open my mouth sometimes, right? And so I did have to find those ways, navigating those introverted waters of how to do that. And community was that for me. So
Mm-hmm.
those that I was close to, I could say, hey girl, hey boo, hey, like I kind of am looking for or in need. And all the extroverts were blurted all over the place for me. And before I know it, they were introducing me to someone that I could have a one-on-one interaction with.
Oh, yeah. That was like one of the biggest things I've had to unlearn as an
Mm,
adult is asking for help does not mean you are incapable or unqualified.
come on now.
It's actually a sign of strength and self awareness, right? You don't know what you don't know. And it doesn't make sense to try to fake the funk.
On now.
You're going to
Yes.
stress your whole self out. So,
All
yeah, that was a huge thing for me. Um, and I mean, it's just helped tremendously now when I can say, hey, girl, what do you think? I need help with this. Because I always tell people, especially women in wine and cheese, anytime I'm on any platform, we were created to be interdependent. You
mm,
know, we have had to be independent women for a long time, but that is not how or why we were created, right? My strengths may be your weaknesses and vice versa. So we need to work together. And then it's a way of not overworking ourselves also, right? Delegation and all of that, that is a sign of an intelligent, self-aware person to know I can't do it all myself and I shouldn't have to.
Come on now. So, okay, I have to hold up three fingers so I don't forget. Um,
Okay.
but like you said, crap, interdependent, um, time savings. Man, I'm so glad we're recording this because you know how my brain works. I was like, oh, that's so good. Um, so the first thing that came to mind when you were saying that is like how much faster it is just to go ask someone who's that's their strength, right? So
Exactly.
like you said, you call me, you be like blah 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 blah, and I'd be like whoop,
Mm-hmm.
and just like that, we could talk it out 10, 15, 30 minutes. The rest of our conversation is just chit chat, right?
Right.
And it's so much faster. I call you because y'all Natalie is gifted with words. They call her the grandma Nazi as well, but she will like she keeps you straight and on the narrow, like because our whole thing is wanting to show up in excellence and
Mm-hmm.
you help like that's your strength. And so you help me do that where that's not always my strength because as you can see, my brain goes do do do. And I done skipped a comma and probably some semicolons and some letters in a word, right? So that was one. And then the other thing is that when you're in community and the whole thing about playing on each other's strengths or weaknesses is that you also then give someone else an opportunity to function in their purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Yep.
allowing them room to one bless you and do what they're put on earth to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now I do remember the last thing. And the last thing was um, also asking for help. It places you in a very vulnerable space, which
Absolutely.
is why it's a sign of strength, but it also creates intimacy between you and another, which creates an even stronger bond between you and those people that are out there to say, hey, yes, I'm willing to help you at the drop of a dime. Call me anytime. It creates a real, true connection between you. And so you don't, it helps you weed out the weeds
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
you know me, vulnerability, authenticity, self-awareness, those are like warm and fuzzy words for me. You
we,
know, if anybody wants to like have a conversation in truth, who wants to really, when you're asking for help, you're exposing yourself, right? And when you're exposing yourself to somebody else, it's a sign that that person, you trust that person, right? So when people are open and honest with me, when they're authentic and vulnerable, I take that as an honor that they feel safe enough to be able to share with me in that way.
that is so true. Because being a Capricorn, I am a control freak. I know this about myself, right? And so I tell those in the inner circle all the time, especially like my board members for the nonprofit, when we're hosting, especially a live team summit,
Mm,
I trust them with my all to like people will come and ask me a question, whatever she said, whatever he said, and I
mhm.
can do that in all like openness, wholeheartedness without a worry or care because I like trust. I know that I know that I know that I know
Mhm.
that they're going to hold it down in the level of excellence that I would, or that even if they're handling it in their own authentic manner, it's going to be 10 times better than what I could have came up with,
Right.
anyway. So that trust piece is huge. It's huge because to really trust somebody, you have to respect them too, which
Oh, for sure, for sure. It's funny. I was just working with a grant readiness coach, and she's incredible. And I told her, so Wine and Cheese is my baby, right? Anytime you're operating in your purpose, you're super sensitive about it, you're super protective about it. You know, for me, I get downloads from God and spirit, right? Before I make a move on things, because I know that this is something that He placed on the inside of me. So I don't want to mess it up.
I'm
And so when this grant readiness coach was giving me some suggestions, I told her, I said, look, you caught me at a good moment because I'm being open to, you know, feedback and edits and changes in a way. And it's because I respected her first, right? It's because I trusted her and I knew that she believed in the mission and the vision of Whine and Cheese as much as I did, and she wasn't going to steer me wrong. There's something very important when you finally define what your purpose is, you've gotten that download, and you're ready to walk in it, because those are definitely two different things. You also have to trust in yourself, that you're operating in integrity and in truth, because some people are not going to flow with your agenda, right? And it may not be that they don't support you, but they just don't have the vision. And I always talk to people like, when you have determined what your purpose is, you have to protect it, because not everybody is going to be on board for whatever reason. You can call them haters, you can call them whatever you call them. But most times it's just because people lack the vision, but that's also because God didn't give it to them. So you got to be really secure in what you know to be true and what you know to be your assignment. And then you can operate in discernment when you're calling on other people to work in partnership with you.
Mm. It's like you said, those are two different things. So
Mm-hmm.
you identify, and then you actually ready to like do what you were supposed to be doing in the first place. You go through a real, I'm just gonna call it process season. I was gonna say shedding and pruning because that's part of it, but it's not all
Mm-hmm.
of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But part of that process is unlearning a lot of things and relearning a lot of things. And
Yep.
one of those is to trust yourself, because going to your best friend or your mom or sister, cousin, like you said, they weren't given the vision. So they're not really going to understand it all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and they're there to support you if you tell them how. But because they don't have the vision, they weren't given the vision,
Right.
it's hard. Um,
Yeah.
and to that same sentiment, it's also hard to find good help, right? They're always talking about business, any type of business. It's hard to find good help. But purpose driven business, it's even harder,
Oh yeah.
because majority of the time it does come from downloads.
Mm-hmm.
And that vision
Mm-hmm.
is only meant for you, and because it's your baby, you really do have to know, like, and trust and respect that person
Yeah.
to, like you say, receive what they have to say, give, and or turn things over to them to let them do stuff for you, right? So
So it's funny, because you're bringing up an example. So I am personally, I'm an intuitive. So I work very heavily based on energy. So when I'm interviewing somebody to help, or considering someone I'll partner with, it really starts with energy beyond your qualifications. What is the energy? And I'll never forget, a couple of years ago, I was putting on my very first retreat, and we were looking for speakers and presenters. And this one person came very highly recommended. She had all of the things, that would make her a great speaker. And when we spoke on the phone, the energy just, I couldn't put my finger on it, but it just wasn't right. And it was nothing that she said all the right things. And like I said, her credentials matched everything we needed. And I ignored my intuition. And unfortunately, you know, the retreat went off without a hitch to the untrained eye, but there was a lot of stress and drama leading up to that point. And I feel like if I had really trusted myself in that moment, and kind of tuned out, I know, again, she came highly recommended. I know the people that recommended her were not anticipating the rifts that took place behind the scenes. But to your point, when it's purpose driven, you really have to operate in a spirit of discernment, and don't ever ignore it, because it could actually end up being a bigger issue for you in the long run. So,
listen, you're giving all the good gems right now, because that is the truth. And I was about to say I think, but I know we all go through those times where we're questioning ourselves. Because more recently for me, there was a situation where I was like, this doesn't make sense. Why do
Mhm.
you feel the way that you feel?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until even it like talking to yourself, I was like, Jateya, shut up talking to people about this. They heard you the first 20 times that you've been questioning this situation, right? But it wasn't until, I had to really hone in, get quiet, and decide what I was going to do. And I made the decision to walk away. And it was literally not even 24 hours later where a situation happened. And I was like, oh, well, thank you. Thank
Hmm.
you for that.
Yeah.
That I was able to walk away. But we have those, I'll call them tests,
Hmm.
either to learn from or pass to like
Yeah.
help you skip a level in the video game of life or whatever, right? So I'm so glad that you brought that point up because that's real talk. And on each level that you do level up, things are different and they change, but these are some of those foundational things that when you're in a purpose driven arena that you have to really hone in first, which
Yeah.
is that discernment and trusting your intuition and listening to yourself, and before you're able to actually level up, because that next level you don't have as long to make certain decisions because
That's right.
opportunities are fleeting.
That's right. We
So
put a lot of attention when we're talking about like relationships and who we want to partner with romantically. We have a long list of what they need to be. We have our list of non-negotiables. We need to apply those things to our business as well and to the people we do business with.
come on now. I tell
Yeah.
people all the time that as important as it is to know what you want, you need to know what you don't want.
And it's sometimes easier to know what you don't want. So start there. There's nothing wrong with starting there.
And stand by it.
Yeah.
Um and stand by it. So yes, all of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. So I want to be, very cautious and considerate of your time.
Mm.
So
We could
because
talk all day. You know that I got time for you.
you took the words right out of my mouth, because I would talk to you forever. And guys, just so you know, before we got on, I told her, I was like, we're just gonna talk, because whenever we talk, it's always good stuff. And I'm always like in my head, I wish I was recording because I can't take notes fast enough. So this is an opportunity to actually do that. So I'm excited about that. But yes, in the name of clarity, there are questions that I always ask, and so I want to get your perspective on those so you can
Mhm.
share with the good people.
Yes.
But in order to uh, connect or help people connect to create healthy and happy femships, as you call
Hmm. Hmm.
and as we just said, or you just said or noted, that it also can cross lines to business partnerships, relationships, just in general. Um, what's something you've had or have to accept about your past, present, and future to free you to reach infinite heights of your business or your goals in general?
Yeah. Oh, failing does not always mean you're a failure. It never means you're a failure,
Hmm.
right? Um, Failing either means, to your point, as you mentioned before, like there's either more to learn before you reach that next level, or there's, in some way you need to course correct, but it doesn't mean it that you are a failure or that your idea won't work. It just means you just need to keep cooking, keep it in the oven a little bit longer, test those ingredients a little bit more before it's ready to, come out the oven and be served up. But yeah, I think I put a lot of attention on, and you really helped me with this too, because again, it's, I've had to unlearn it, but it's a continual unlearning. Um, but I'm always focused on what if I fail? And you really helped me be like, but what if it works? What if you fly? You know? And so um, keeping that in mind, like, okay, a failure is really just a signal that you missed a step or you got to rethink this a bit more instead of it's an absolute no, it's not going to work. Because I can totally go there, right? that has probably been what has really been the biggest unlearning for me, that has kind of helped free me to be more successful in my approach to business, in my approach to relationships, in my approach to going after practically any goal.
I love it. I love it. And in news you can't use, but my first time frying chicken, it was so pretty. It was so pretty. And of course, I cut into it
Yeah, girl.
and I threw it away. And it was after I threw it away that my mom was like, "Why didn't you just put it in the oven and let it finish cooking?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was cooking it for my boyfriend at the time, girl. I just knew. I just knew. And I'm all
Yeah.
frustrated. But to your analogy, you're right. Sometimes you just gotta let it keep cooking and it can turn out as beautiful as you envision it. It just
Mm-hmm.
takes some
Yep.
tweaking or an audible to how, because I
Mm-hmm.
just want to put it in the grease and it come
Yep.
out,
Yep.
perfect. But you still
Because really, to that point with your frying chicken, like crab bisque is probably my favorite soup. And I was like, I'm gonna learn how to make it from scratch. And I did everything, used all the right ingredients, but I did them out of order. So you can sometimes you can have everything right. You got all the ingredients, the right measurements, everything. But if you're out of order, it turns out wrong. So again, I don't want you to throw it all away because it didn't come out right the first time. You just gotta slow down and follow the steps.
come on now, out of order. Because that's what happened. I just throw it
That
off.
was when it just dropped down in my spirit. Girl.
Yes, that's a whole word right there. Love it. Okay, okay, let me focus.
Mhm.
Okay, so what's one thing you must believe to achieve, as cliche as it sounds?
I'm for that actually I would go back to um like asking for help. No. Actually, because yes, we definitely need to believe in being able to ask for help. But I'm gonna say believe in yourself and what you've been called to do.
Come on.
Because without those two things, without believing yourself and believing your purpose, you can't achieve much of anything. And like I said, there's always going to be outside distractions or distractors. But you got to continue to like stay the course because you believe in yourself. You believe that whatever this is, it is for you, or it's going to come through you, and you just got to hold fast to that.
Mm,
That would be my answer.
love it. And I always say clarity is the destination, but focus is your journey. And
Yeah.
how focused you are depicts on how fast you get to your destination. So put those blinders on. Love it.
Mhm.
Like all the drop mic moments today. Okay. So, what's one belief you had to unlearn in order to achieve a level of success? I think you actually just answered that one.
Asking for help.
Yeah, okay.
Asking
Well,
for help.
moving right along.
Yeah.
Um, and then what's one belief you have that you want your clients and or members of Whine and Cheese to instill in themselves?
There is power in partnership. Community is everything. I will fall on the sword every time for that. Like, you have to lean on other people. And like, no one's purpose is to be carried out alone. So the sooner you realize that, you can accept help, that you can share the load, that you don't have to do it all yourself, the better you're going to be in all areas of your life, all areas. Yeah.
Listen, I'm like, Jateya, don't talk too much, but I have to say this. I love a holistic approach. I really truly do. And when you're walking in purpose, everything, even how I met you, divine. Like, a friend invited me to a workshop you were doing, and I was in the sunken place, and I could have easily been like, no, nah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I went, and ever since then, it's just been like, and you helped me with my purpose, and I love helping you with yours.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And so, my business prayer is to be a rippling effect of healing and prosperity. So together we can create this massive wave of impact and income. And so, to your point, we can't do it alone. We're not meant to do it alone. I can start the ripple, but if you don't continue the ripple for me, we'll never get to the wave. And so I
Exactly.
just love that you said that. And I love that you helped me start this wave and continue the wave. So thank you for that. Okay, that's
We
all.
all in the same pond.
Yes, girl.
I
Uh
like that though. I
yes,
like that.
all all
Let's make waves. Let's make waves.
gigantic surfer Hawaii style wave. Okay. That's the goal. Alrighty. So, how has embracing all aspects of you contributed to your success or equipped you to do what you do?
Whew. That is still like, so showing up as my authentic self has been a goal for many years. I can honestly say that I am finally starting to show up as her. Um, and it took some time, right? Because there's so many, society wants you to be all the things, and then they don't want you to be all the things. And so you have to have this weird dance of when to show up, how to show up, so that you are heard, you're seen, you're valued. But I guess we can't cuss on this podcast, but I've
Yes, and
at this point in my life, and after dealing with this pandemic, it's like, fuck it. This is who I am. And I am, as I evolve, I will continue to show up as this new and improved person. Um, and so that's what's gonna best serve me in this life. You know, being okay to take chances, being okay to fail, being confident in the fact that whatever happens, I'm going to be okay. Whatever happens, the purpose will be fulfilled, whether it's through me or through somebody else, right? Because that's the other thing about purpose. It's a whole like relay effect. Like you got to pass it on. This has to outlive me, right? The impact has to outlive me. So just being confident in all of those things, and then also being honest about when I'm not confident about all of those things. Like showing up is my superpower. Showing up authentically is my superpower. And it also gives other people, other women, kind of permission in a way. And I
definitely.
don't say that as like I'm the authority, but sometimes we need to see other people do it first so that we feel comfortable doing it. And I'm happy to lead by example. If that means falling on my face in front of everybody, but figuring out the lesson on where I tripped and then sharing that, I'm happy to.
And that's awesome. But but you're right. Like I tell people all the time, because of them became a movement for that reason. Like
Yeah.
you actually become an inspiration for people. And being a trailblazer is never easy. Like
Mm-mm.
never easy. But it's always appreciated by your tribe, by your people, by those you are meant to pass that baton to. And so I love that you gave that analogy. That is so real, so true. And we need more of that because like you say, knowing how and when and where to show up, it's like you damned if you
Exhausting.
don't, right?
It's
And
exhausting.
it's just so much easier to be you. And
Mm.
those that don't like you, eh? And those that do love you. And so trying to tread that line, or as I say, play double dutch, always gets you nowhere but by yourself because nobody can really figure you out. Um,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
what side of
You
the
never really establish deep connection.
yeah, yeah, that intimacy, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
love it, love it. Okay, so last but not least, any shout outs? Who's in your squad? Who have you connected with for success? And then we'll let them know how they can connect with you.
Okay. So for starters, Jateya Jones, clarity coach extraordinaire, has really helped me map out my life. Y'all don't know how many times I call her like, girl, does this make sense? Or can you make sense of this? Because I'm really struggling. So you will always be at the top of my list. You know, I am always like, I can't help you, but Jateya can. Call her. So I want to shout you out and give you your flowers because we've only been friends for what, the last 3 years or so, and you have meant so much to me in such little time. And I am forever grateful for the God wink that brought us together that night. I also want to shout out the Whine and Cheese tribe, um, all 200 plus of us that have been in the organization throughout the last 10 years, because every time a woman reaches out to me and says, you know, this is what I needed, this is what I was missing, it's a reminder to me that I'm still operating in purpose. And all of the women there keep me accountable to what I've been called to do. So I definitely want to shout them out. Um, what else? Who else? I want to shout out my girlfriend Kelly for giving me the push to expand this organization, and all the women that have trusted me to kind of carry this torch on their behalf. Um, Jateya, you put me in touch with so many incredible people. Gwen, um, who else? Like, we just got to have a whole list that we can put in the show notes or something, because I mean, just through you alone, I've met so many incredible people. I want to shout out my therapist, because
Come on
she
now.
helps keep me sane. So Dr. Butler, thank you. And who else? I mean, listen, my list is endless. My list is endless, but I am very blessed to have some amazing people in my life that root for me, that check me, and that love me unconditionally, and have been able to put me in places and on stages that I could have never imagined for myself. So thank you, Jateya. Thank you all for even watching through this long. I hope that you were blessed by whatever I said, because don't ask me to repeat anything. So I want to shout out the people that I haven't even met yet, but will, and will help to change the world together.
I absolutely love that. So you know I love and adore you. I met you while you were doing your purpose. So I'm blessed and thankful to have gotten to know you past that day. Just in that what hour or so on that day, you magnificently changed my life. So I am forever grateful. But I love you to pieces. And like you can't get rid of me.
No, oh girl, please. Mm-mm. I
Just so
wouldn't
you know,
think of
just
it.
as a reminder.
I
You
wouldn't
can't.
think of it.
So I love you and I love what you do and I'm always here to support you in any way that I can. So I absolutely
Likewise.
love that. Okay, so now tell
Mhm.
the people how they can find you, and then I can let you go on your merry way.
Yeah, so I'm on social media, Instagram. I can only keep up with like maybe one platform at a time, but I'm on Instagram at For Every Wine, FOREVERYWHINE. I can't turn these alerts off for some reason. Um, and or you can, if you're not on Instagram, you can find me on the website, which is foreverywine.org, because our tagline used to be for every wine there's a cheese. So that's how you can find me. And if you are ready to join a group of amazing Black women who are doing the damn thing, who are showing up authentically, who are ready and available to pour into you, and to also receive all of the blessings that you hold within your heart, you can go to either the Instagram page or the website and click join us or find your tribe and join our member only app. Right now, if you join through Jateya and this platform, then the first 2 weeks of your membership will be complimentary. So you can get in and kind of get your feet wet with the community before you fully commit to being a part of our sister circle. So we look forward to seeing you. And when you do come, because I think you will, just let us know Jateya sent you.
Well, thank you for that. Like, guys, look, she's giving y'all love because I didn't have a clue, but I appreciate you for that. But yes, go and check them out. Thank you again for your
Thank
time.
you. Thank you for having me.
Of
This was fun.
always, always. So I'm gonna bid you adieu. Thank you. I love you. Go off and continue to be great. And guys, listen, go find her, follow in her DMs, and tell her how amazing she is because she's amazing. And or what gem you got from this that she dropped for you. So Thank you
Yeah.
again,
I'm
Boo.
I'm friends with everybody, so I'll meet y'all in the DMs. Thank you.